Time for decisions. Which colors will play nicely with the paint inlay? As well as with each other. Today was interesting because we had a blackout later in the afternoon, so I decided no problem, I'll just take this outside and it'll dry faster, but unfortunately I heated up faster, so I only got about 1.5 coats on it before I had to bring it in. And because the jar is small, I decided to use a smaller brush, and unfortunately was not the right move. I should have stayed with my Wooster brush, which is really my favorite. It's under $10, which is great. I tried a couple of other brushes, the Tiger and an expensive Wise Owl, and after 2 coats it didn't give me good coverage. So ultimately I went back to the Wooster and finally got the coverage that I needed. And by the way, celery color for the win. And yes, the temperatures are miserable, but we just keep reminding ourselves that there's no shoveling sunshine. I put this suede paint on the top thinking that I know there's sand in it or some kind of texture and I can just sand it down. And after I was done, really didn't like the color, but after I sanded it down, it gave me a real vintage vibe. So I decided to do some striping on the sides. And I have to tell you that even after years of seeing other crafters do this, this is my first time attempting this. So learn from the pros, right? So the trick to stenciling, and I almost gave up on it when I first started crafting, was to have so little paint on your brush that it almost feels like it's air drying. And you'd be surprised how much paint is actually there. My brush looks totally dry, but somehow is pushing it in there. And that's another technique. It's making sure you go in round circles. The tape being close to the edge and pushed down is obviously really important too. But having very little paint and using a circular motion also helps get it in there. So I'm dipping it, but then I'm dabbing it. I want most of the paint actually off the brush before I start. Now if it's in the middle, it's not such a big deal because the brush will be mostly right in the middle and it won't pick up a lot of paint on the sides. But when I get to the sides, definitely go into the circular motion. So I pick up a little bit of paint, dabbing. I can go up and down to get the majority of it in the middle, but then use the circular motion to spread it in. And if it's very thin on your brush, it won't go underneath the tape. So this technique with the tape works such that you tape one at the edge and then another one beside it and then another one after it. And the one in the middle then gets peeled off and the 2 beside it become the border. And you paint that and then you take that one off and you move it to the next side and you just keep going until you reach the edge. And I only needed 3 pieces of tape to accomplish that. Don't wait too long to peel the tape, but an old painter's trick that I learned when I worked with a journeyman painter is to always peel the tape at a slight angle. If there's any tape that went underneath it, it helps to peel it off and peels it off evenly. If you're like me, then seeing stripes on a piece of furniture reminds you of either a Mackenzie Childs transformation, which are fun and bright and colorful, but very whimsical and very bold, or a clown car, which sometimes is not the reaction that you're going for. So I wanted to say, yes, I put the stripes on purpose, despite the fact that you might think it looks like a clown car, but I softened it just slightly with a Hocus Pocus metallic gold foil accent. Just a couple pieces. One at the bottom here, and one all the way up at the top. Right there. How many canvases do you see? 3 are visible, 1 is hidden. 1, 2, 3. And for that pop of surprise that I always love, every drawer has been painted on the side, and we'll get a decoration, probably a stencil, a little bit later. Don't we all love the big reveal? There's something very satisfying about peeling back a paint inlay. Now what's really interesting here is that I painted over the original color, but I had a feeling that the original color would show through, and what I'm finding right now is exactly that dimension I was hoping for. So it's getting a bit of that color that I thought would work really well with that particular sheet, as well as matching the base color. So let's see how we did on the rest. This one was a beige underneath, so it's going to be pretty muted. This one was a darker color. And it doesn't look like that darker color is going to peek through on this one. Oh, it is on this one. I like that mix. I'm laying out the sheets because they